Laundry. Call 724-381-8013 for more information. The Laundromat has a full-time attendant, coin-operated machines, large screen TV, and free Wi-Fi available for all customers. The Laundromat opens 7 days a week, 7 to 7, and is located at 7 East Main Street in New Salem. 724-381-8013.
See Rick George at Rock Bottom Motors, where bank financing has never been easier. See their lot at 125 Pittsburgh Street in Uniontown, with vehicles available from model year 2000 through 2012. Or visit their website at rockbottominc.com. Rock Bottom Motors, where every vehicle comes with a 3-month warranty and free Carfax. Call 724-439-1499 for Rock Bottom Motors.
Southwestern Endoscopy Center and SWGI, Uniontown's only freestanding state-of-the-art endoscopy facility, offers physician-supervised reclassed iron, Remicade, and Tisbury infusion services. Doctors Ruthart, Calabrese, Stokes, Ballou, and Hoppy also remind you that 30 minutes can save your life. For more information or to schedule an appointment, call 724-437-7677. SWGI and Southwestern Endoscopy Center, located in the Cherry Tree Medical Plaza, Uniontown.
Fairchance Dental Arts and Dr. Amity Merbadone have dedicated over 32 years to providing families in Fairchance and the surrounding communities with quality dental care. Now, Dr. Merbadone also offers complimentary snoring and sleep apnea consultations. You can get a good night's sleep. Come in for a consultation with Dr. Merbadone to see if you are a candidate that can benefit from a snoring and sleep apnea treatment. Call today for your complimentary sleep apnea consultation with Dr. Merbadone at 724-564-9010.
Having Hickson Boss Drug Store in Uniontown means reliability, quality, and service. Pharmacists Cindy Harper and Stephen Harper will gladly answer health care questions and take care of your prescription needs. Flu shots are also available. Just call 724-437-2828 for dates, times, and costs. Free prescription delivery, mail-out service, and dependable courteous service are part of the good neighbor way of doing business at Hickson Boss Drug Store, 304 Morgantown Street. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturday till 3, closed Sunday.
The views and opinions presented by the host, guests, or callers on this program do not necessarily represent the positions of WMBS Radio.
The following is a paid political ad. The candidate dictates the format of the show. The candidate may have provided all or some of the questions to WMBS and the host. Each candidate may or may not take phone calls. WMBS and the host do not endorse any political candidate on air during a paid political ad.
You're listening to What's on Your Mind right here on WMBS Uniontown. We are also being brought to you in part by the Laundromat Rock Bottom Motors, Chestnut Ridge Counseling Attorney Doug Schultes, the Uniontown Hospital, Fairchance Dental Arts, Laurel Ridge Realty, SWGI, Gabler's Drug Store. Don't forget to check out their corner ad in the Herald Standard 6 days a week. Today's special is tractor and truck planters for $29.95 while supplies last. Today and tomorrow, that is an everyday low price right there at Gabler's Drug. We are not taking calls today. As of yet, we'll announce when we are. We do have a special guest in the studio, Commissioner Al Ambrosini. Al, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Mark. How are you today?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing great.
So,
busy week today, but I'm doing fine.
As it always is, isn't it, Al?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, Al. So, I was with you just a little bit ago. We were at you say busy week. I know how busy your day was today.
It started out actually last Sunday. I participated in the County Commissioners Association meeting in Harrisburg. There's a number of issues that we talked about, including the new Marcellus Shell rules. Of course, I did get to hear Monday morning. Governor Tom Wolf came in and spoke to us. And there are some good things. The budget, obviously the state budget is kind of front and center right now. And there's some things that I think are good. There's some things that need a little work, but I think everything's headed in the right direction. He did, one of the issues we had during the last administration was kind of a across-the-board cut on human services. Our mental health,
Right.
Children and youth services, and those are services that we can't, from the county level, we can't stop providing.
Well, it's
Unfortunately-
mandated by the state that we provide them,
It is,
but
yes.
it's also
Yeah, that's
fortunately funded by the state too
Yeah.
to help us provide that service.
Exactly, but when they cut the funding, we can't stop helping people. So,
Right.
And so that funding, tends to come out of our general fund, which and that's one of the problems. There's a term that probably most people hear is unfunded mandates. Well, they tell us we have to provide these services, but then don't help us with any additional funding to do some of these things. But Governor Wolf did tell us Monday morning, that seemed like yesterday, but
The days blur.
yeah, told us Monday morning that he's going to restore that 10% cut in human services. So that is very
good news
good
there.
news. Hopefully, that makes it through, the budget process, which is going to take months and months. And so we hope that is going to stay in place.
We heard a little bit about that budget process today when we were at lunch. We were at the Fayette Chamber's Legislative Luncheon, where they invited state legislators and also the 3 county commissioners. And the business community asked a lot of different questions of you guys, and I think you handled yourself very well there, except for
Well-
when your phone rang.
Yeah, yeah. I forgot to turn my ringer off on my phone, which tends to be a little bit embarrassing. But and and I have to to give the Fayette County Chamber some accolades, because that's a good session. I mean, that helps the local business people and other individuals ask the legislators and commissioners questions and hear what is out there in terms of legislation or other rules that will affect the way that the county and the state operate and ultimately affect their lives.
I think one thing that I'd like to ask you is, why is it so easy for people to think short-term instead of long-term on solutions in any problem in this county? And it just blows my mind. It's not one issue, it's all issues. We always think, what's the short fix? How can I get to that point the quickest? And that's really not the right way to do it. We need to look long-term.
Well, I think, yeah, and the answer to that question is, there's a couple answers. One is, unfortunately, some political types can't look or don't want to look past the next election. So they look at, how can I skirt this problem until I get reelected, and that doesn't help anybody. It certainly doesn't help the citizens of this county. So what we have to do is we have to look at the problem. We have to go through the steps that you normally would, or to actually solve a problem. And one of the issues that we have here is it's very difficult to get maybe political types, especially if they don't have some skill sets, to look into depth into very important or complex problems, and come up with a solution that spans maybe more than one election cycle. And I'll give you a great example.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And the great example is the county jail. I mean, this problem. I mean, we have a county jail that's 126 years old, and I don't think anybody can argue that it's antiquated. We can't operate it safely. We can't operate it. It's wasting money. We're wasting $2.5 million a year. That's about $200,000 every month that we're wasting of taxpayers' dollars because nobody has addressed this problem. Now, and you hear, and I'm going to talk about the money end of it a little bit because I think that gets people's attention. It certainly should get the taxpayers' attention. With a new facility, it's probably going to cost about $30 million. You know, and then I hear the political comebacks. You know, like, oh, we can't afford a $30 million prison. Well, if the $30 million prison, if the mortgage payment costs $1.4 million a year, and we're spending $2.5 million, we're wasting $2.5 million a year right now, the way we're operating an antiquated and too small of a facility, then that leaves $1.1 million that we can save taxpayers. Now, by any stretch of the imagination, I don't know how we can't afford this. You know, if we can build something new, solve a whole bunch of problems, and it still saves the taxpayers over $1 million a year, then we ought to be doing it. But why aren't we? Because somebody is afraid that some constituent out there is going to say, you know, well, why haven't you fixed this problem 10 years ago? And they're not going to have a good answer.
Well, and that's always the problem where we see that it always stalls out because it starts out as a great idea, but then people realize it's going to cost money, and the next thing you know, the political propaganda and people panic because they're more concerned about retention of a job instead of doing what's right for the community. Speaking of political propaganda and the prison, there's a lot of naysayers out there that keep coming up with all these. They don't have all the details, but they keep having comments. How do we as Fayette Countyans, I think is a better term than just you, how do we say, okay, sort out the facts from the fiction?
And that's one of the more difficult things. And I've been so busy trying to solve these problems that I haven't been over the last 3 years. Other than having the press come to every single one of the prison working group meetings, I haven't been out there, bragging or saying, hey, we got the solution here. We're gonna fix this. But one of the problems is you hear all these little 30-second buzzwords like we can't afford this $30 million project. We can't. Oh, I love this one. The one I hear all the time is, we can't afford this Taj Mahal. And so in what I've been finding out, everybody that's talking about or saying these things, if I can sit down with them for an hour and go through and explain what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how it's going to save taxpayers money, I get the expression. They basically say, "Oh, I didn't know that," and I can turn people around. If I can talk. It's kind of hard to talk to 136,000 people in the county, and
All at once.
All at once, yeah. But in reality, the Taj Mahal. Let me just address the Taj Mahal issue. I don't think people understand that this jail is just going to be on one level, one building that's going to house everything that's needed, but it's going to be bare concrete floors, concrete block walls. You're going to have in the cell itself, you're going to have two steel racks that are going to be welded to a plate in the wall, and they're going to have a 3.5-inch pad on it for your mattress. It's going to have a stainless steel toilet with no seat on it, and a little tiny sink in the top part of the back of the toilet. Now, if somebody thinks that's going to be a Taj Mahal, they must live in some pretty bad conditions. Now, let me tell you what it's not going to have. There's not going to be a baseball field or a softball field. There's not going to be a gymnasium. There's not going to be a basketball court. there's not going to be a weight room. But here's, you know why? Because we think that if an inmate comes into this facility, instead of playing basketball all day long, he's going to be in a room preparing to take his GED exam.
If needed.
If needed. He's going to be there going through some counseling services with mental health or drug and alcohol. These people aren't going to, and we're never, ever going to make our neighborhood safer until we turn some of these people around. If we don't keep the revolving door, if we don't stop the revolving door, then our neighborhoods are just going to get more dangerous, and our elderly people, they can't fend off these young guys that are going to come in, break in their house, and steal their belongings or money for drugs, and along the way they may get hurt. So, we have
more than just monetarily, they can get hurt physically.
Oh yeah. So, there's a lot of things we can do if we build a facility that we can stop and reduce the revolving door, the recidivism. We have to stop that. We have to slow that down, and we can't do it with the facility we have now. There's no place in there to do what we need to do.
Well, the existing prison is very pretty on the outside, but we'll talk more about the inside of it at a later time. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We come back more with Commissioner Al Ambrosini. We are being brought to you in part by Gabler's Drug, The Laundromat, Rock Bottom Motors, Chestnut Ridge Counseling, Attorney Doug Schultes, the Uniontown Hospital, Fairchance Dental Arts, Laurel Ridge Realty, SWGI, and these fine folks. Gabler's Drugstore, your family pharmacy in Uniontown and Carmichaels, wants to know, what are you paying? Gabler's has a corner ad 6 days a week in the Herald Standard on page 3 with their everyday low prices and specials, too. Why not transfer your prescription to Gabler's and enjoy close-to-the-door parking, free prescription delivery, or their convenient prescription drive-thru? Gabler's does accept UPMC, Express, Medco, and Highmark prescription plans. Gabler's has a convenient one-stop shopping for health and beauty aid items, cold and allergy remedies, Nature Bounty products, many of which are buy one, get one free, and it's all at Gabler's everyday low prices. Stop in at Gabler's for Easter and everyday greeting cards, always discounted 20%. Spring and Easter decorations, Easter candy including Redstone Easter eggs at the lowest prices anywhere. And Pirate Baseball is starting, so check out Gabler's selection of team logo merchandise. Gabler's Drugstore in Uniontown and Carmichaels, open 7 days a week with convenient hours. Gabler's Drug, everything you want in a drugstore.
Open the curtains, it's a brand new day to cross that bridge with Chestnut Ridge.
Why is Chestnut Ridge so reliable? CEO Mike Quinn explained.
Chestnut Ridge Counseling Services has been around for well over 45 years. We're the largest provider of psychiatric services in Fayette County. We have one of the largest outpatient clinics in the state. We provide well over 16 different programs for individuals with different behavioral health problems. Then we also have 24-hour crisis services. So if anyone is in a crisis of any type, can call our hotline at 724-437-1003, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And anybody that's having a stressful situation could walk into our main office at 100 New Salem Road.
Chestnut Ridge Counseling Services in Uniontown, Connellsville, and Greensburg. To learn more about the quality of care provided by Chestnut Ridge, call them at 724-437-0729 or visit them online at crcsi.org.
Chestnut Ridge.
Southwestern Endoscopy Center and SWGI, Uniontown's only freestanding state-of-the-art endoscopy facility, offers physician-supervised reclassed, iron, Remicade, and Tisbury infusion services. Doctors Ruthhart, Calabrese, Stokes, Ballou, and Hoppy also remind you that 30 minutes can save your life. For more information or to schedule an appointment, call 724-437-7677. SWGI and Southwestern Endoscopy Center, located in the Cherry Tree Medical Plaza, Uniontown.
See Rick George at Rock Bottom Motors, where bank financing has never been easier. See their lot at 125 Pittsburgh Street in Uniontown with vehicles available from model year 2000 through 2012. Or visit their website at rockbottominc.com. Rock Bottom Motors, where every vehicle comes with a 3-month warranty and free Carfax. Call 724-439-1499 for Rock Bottom Motors.
The law offices of Douglas Schultes are in your neighborhood and here to serve you, offering trusted, affordable legal representation with 2 convenient locations in Uniontown and Smithfield. The law offices of Douglas Schultes are experienced in real estate, civil matters, wills and estates, personal injury, and the general practice of law. Call Attorney Schultes for your free consultation at 724-569-0990. And remember, we treat you like a neighbor because you are one. Are you looking to list or sell your home? Now is the time to let the professionals at Coldwell Banker Laurel Ridge help with all your real estate needs. Coldwell Banker Laurel Ridge Realty has been the #1 listing and selling agency in Fayette County for over 10 years based on the Fayette County Multiple Listing Service. Stop in their Uniontown office or visit their website at cbuniontown.com and see what the professionals at Coldwell Banker Laurel Ridge can do for you.
You're listening to What's on Your Mind right here on WMBS Uniontown. In the studio with me is Commissioner Al Ambrosini, and we are having just a basic political conversation. Al, when we left, we were talking a little bit about how there's a lot of misunderstood and naysayers about the prison issues, and it's really a jail. It's not a prison, correct? Because the county can only own a prison or a jail, not a prison.
Yeah, that's correct.
Am I using?
We I
we all
think
use the same term,
yeah,
but by law, the county has to own that prison. And my question to you, my next question to you is, I've always said it on here from the day one when you guys first started looking at this, I was hoping that the prison would stay in the city for personal reasons. I'm a resident of the city. I felt that there is money that stays in the city when you have prison guards eating lunch, or when you have prison guards going home at the end of the day and they stop and they grab a sandwich from one of our local restaurants or an adult beverage. So that was my concern. But I hear so many people say, well, I want the prison downtown because it's going to save on transportation costs to bring those prisoners from outside of the city of Uniontown into this prison or into court. So what is your thought on that?
Yeah, let me back up, and you mentioned political conversation. Really, I view this as almost a public service effort, because a lot of people aren't informed or don't have the time to study this issue, and everybody has an opinion, which they have the right to their own opinion. But I would just ask them to take a little time and listen to some of the facts, and this is another perfect example when people say, well, we should have the jail right next to the courthouse, and they think that's the best thing to do. Well, here's why it's not the best thing to do. Number one, we don't have very much room behind the courthouse, so as a result, the jail has to be built on multiple levels. And that costs about 25 to 30% more because you have structural steel. You might have to drive piling down the bedrock, other issues. So this jail, it would cost probably at least $10 million more to build it behind the courthouse. And
$10 million in addition.
In addition to the $30 million that we would have if we could build this facility on a single level out, maybe 5-6 minutes from the courthouse.
Right.
In addition, we'd have to put multiple elevators that, and that becomes another operating cost. Elevators are very expensive to operate in terms of maintenance. It creates issues for our corrections officers because you can't put one corrections officer in an elevator safely. You have to maybe have 2. So there's other issues putting corrections officers and inmates in a confined space. The other, in the transportation cost part of it, a lot of people think that if we start transporting inmates back and forth between the county jail that's built out on the outskirts of town somewhere to the jail, they think that's a big issue. But here's what they don't understand. Right now, we're transporting inmates to 7 different county jails halfway across the state because our jail's too small. Nobody has enough capacity to put all our excess inmates, so we have to spread them out. That's extremely expensive. And we're in the past few years, we've been spending upwards of $300,000 a year just in transportation costs. The other thing, and when I tell people this, they sort of get a little surprised. I see their eyes get big. We transport inmates right now, every day, between the courthouse or the jail and magisterial district judges' offices all around the county, Masontown, Wharton Township, Connellsville, even in downtown Uniontown. We take them out, we put them in cars, we take them there for hearings. Well, the new jail will have a magisterial district judge's office right there, and we'll transport one MDJ to the jail, and then the inmates will only walk down the hallway and go to a hearing. They won't ever leave the wall out. They won't go outside the walls of that jail. And those are the by far the biggest issues, because it's dangerous to transport an inmate over the road to all these MDJ's offices, and you have these inmates out there that are sitting in these offices next to maybe some kid that got a speeding ticket. So now, what happens when we what's the other reason to have an inmate go into the jail? Well, they can go in for plea hearings or sentencing hearings. Well, we'll have a common pleas courtroom inside the jail, the new jail also, so all those can take place right there. A judge will go to that facility and hear all the plea hearings and all the sentencing hearings, and so they won't have to leave the jail again. So where does transportation costs come in? Okay, if you have an inmate that is going to have a jury trial, now we have to take that guy and we have to take him to the jail or take him to the courthouse for a jury trial. We cannot have jury trials in the prison because of state law. It makes them look like they're guilty. You can't have the juries going to a jail.
Right.
So how much transportation is this going to involve? Okay, in Fayette County, we do about 100 jury trials a year, and we have court week 1 week a month.
Right.
So maybe 6 to 8 cases.
Those are criminal court
cases.
The first week of the month, right?
Yeah, and so 1 week a month, we'll have to put these guys on a little secure bus, bring them to the courthouse, and and really most of these, once they end up in a courtroom, and get a little concerned, they'll plea out. That'll be it, or their cases last maybe a day or two. I was personally on the jury for a murder case years ago, and it only lasted 3.5 days, and that's a murder case. So even that 1 week a month where you have to transport these guys, some of them are only going to be there for a day, maybe 2. So the transportation cost for 1 week a month is going to be a lot less than what we actually spend today. So there's a ton of efficiencies that a newly designed facility will bring over the antiquated facility we have now.
All right, you're talking a lot about cost savings. What other types of cost savings will a new prison for the county give the cost savings to the county? What other ideas or thoughts are there? Because we're here, you're talking a lot about cost savings, and I think that's a key subject here.
Yeah. Again, this facility is going to be one floor, and that's why we can't put an efficient facility behind the courthouse, because we don't have the space. We have to go out and put it on a larger piece of property. So, again, just as I mentioned before, no elevators. There's not going to be any cost of putting an elevator in the building, no cost of operating an elevator, which is substantial. And I could tell you from what we have to pay for the elevators in the courthouse. It's much easier to transport the inmates within the jail. They don't have to have an escort to walk down a hallway. Right now, we can't do that in the facility because of the inefficient design. In a new facility, you'll have a control room operator that can operate any door, and any time an inmate goes through a door, there's actually two doors. It's kind of like they call it a sally port.
It's like an airlock.
Yeah, like an airlock. Perfect example. The guy goes into one door. He's inside the airlock. They lock one door and open the other door, and you could do that all remotely. So there's less requirements for corrections officers to be walking these guys around the facility, and just the amount of the way they're laid out is the corrections officers can actually they can see all the cells from their vantage point, and they can watch. The housing units will have more cells than what we have now.
Right.
Our facility now is pretty chopped up, and it's not, and there's hidden spots. There's
a lot of blind spots.
It's dangerous. I mean, it's dangerous for the corrections officers to work in these conditions. So, so there's a lot of, and it's one facility. That's another thing. We have the old 126-year-old facility. Then there was a little metal building called the Men's Annex that was built in 2002, and that was just meant to be temporary. But unfortunately, that was never replaced with, the design that was actually produced in 2004. Again, the problem is sometimes elected officials will hide the fact that they're wasting your taxpayers' dollars and they don't want to solve the problem. And that's the situation we're in now, and it's gotten so bad that, there's $2.5 million a year being wasted of your taxpayers' money because we're not addressing this problem.
All right, here's what we're going to do. We'll take another quick break, and then we come back. We'll wrap up the show. How's that sound?
Okay.
All right, Al, thanks. You're listening to What's on Your Mind right here on WMBS Uniontown. We're being brought to you in part by The Laundromat, Rock Bottom Motors, Chestnut Ridge Counseling Attorney Doug Schultes, Fairchance Dental Arts, Laurel Ridge Realty, SWGI, the Uniontown Hospital, Gabler's Drugstore. Don't forget to go check out their corner ad in the Herald Standard. Today's ad features tractors and truck planters for $29.95 while supplies last. They look pretty nice. You can put your Easter flowers in it. We'll be back after these messages. Gabler's Drugstore, your family pharmacy in Uniontown and Carmichaels, wants to know, What are you paying? Gabler's has a corner ad 6 days a week in the Herald Standard on page 3 with their everyday low prices and specials too. Why not transfer your prescription to Gabler's and enjoy close-to-the-door parking, free prescription delivery, or their convenient prescription drive-through? Gabler's does accept UPMC, Express, Medco, and Highmark prescription plans. Gabler's has a convenient one-stop shopping for health and beauty aid items, cold and allergy remedies, Nature Bounty products, many of which are buy one, get one free, and it's all at Gabler's everyday low prices. Stop in at Gabler's for Easter and everyday greeting cards, always discounted 20%. Spring and Easter decorations, Easter candy including Redstone Easter eggs at the lowest prices anywhere. And Pirate Baseball is starting, so check out Gabler's selection of team logo merchandise. Gabler's Drugstore in Uniontown and Carmichael's open 7 days a week with convenient hours. Gabler's Drug, everything you want in a drugstore.
The law offices of Douglas Schultes are in your neighborhood and here to serve you, offering trusted, affordable legal representation with 2 convenient locations in Uniontown and Smithfield. The law offices of Douglas Schultes are experienced in real estate, civil matters, wills and estates, personal injury, and the general practice of law. Call Attorney Schultes for your free consultation at 724-569-0990. And remember, we treat you like a neighbor because you are one. Fairchance Dental Arts and Dr. Amity Merbedone have dedicated over 32 years to providing families in Fairchance and the surrounding communities with quality dental care. Now, Dr. Merbedone also offers complimentary snoring and sleep apnea consultations. You can get a good night's sleep. Come in for a consultation with Dr. Merbedone to see if you are a candidate that can benefit from a snoring and sleep apnea treatment. Call today for your complimentary sleep apnea consultation with Dr. Merbedone at 724-564-9010. Are you looking to list or sell your home? Now is the time to let the professionals at Coldwell Banker Laurel Ridge help with all your real estate needs. Coldwell Banker Laurel Ridge Realty has been the #1 listing and selling agency in Fayette County for over 10 years based on the Fayette County Multiple Listing Service. Stop in their Uniontown office or visit their website at cbuniontown.com and see what the professionals at Coldwell Banker Laurel Ridge can do for you.
You're listening to What's on Your Mind right here on WMBS Uniontown. That music was cut off short, and I apologize for that. I was drinking a glass of some out of my water. It's really warm in the studio today, but we do have Commissioner Al Ambrosini in the studio with us, just giving us a little bit of information about the county, the prison, some of the studies that they've done, some of the studies we've seen and not seen, and some of the things we've looked at. Al, we've talked a lot about cost, and I think my next question is going to be pertaining to the cost. Have you found a lot of waste in this process too? Is that part of the jail problem?
Yeah, one of the things that, I have to admit, I did not know the depth of the waste problems until we were well into reviewing with the prison working group, and reviewing what all the problems are. There's other problems than just the fact that it's antiquated, bad design, and the prison's too small. There's a number of other problems, and so when you get into these other issues, then you really find out that there's just kind of massive waste, and $2.5 million to me is massive waste, and so I didn't know that we were wasting that kind of money until probably a year into what we were looking at in terms of having the prison working group look under basically every stone, and in addition. One of the things, and I did go back and I read all the studies that were put out over the last 20 years that end up on a shelf collecting dust. And some studies back, they wanted to build a 750 bed facility. the one in 2004 came down to 519 beds, and that was probably a pretty good estimate. And of course, our latest one is 465 beds, and I think that's probably the right size for the county. But these are the things that you don't know these details until you study this. And we've been doing this for 2 years. We've hired one of the top-notch architects in the country, and so we've ended up with an extremely cost-effective design, and I'm pretty happy about it. But the fact is that you're asking why nobody's talked about these costs before. A couple reasons. One, politically, any politician, any career politician is going to run. They're going to run fast away from solving a problem of this complexity. Because they're strictly afraid of not getting reelected. And so when I started this effort, guess what? They started to use all the, again, these little buzz phrases and 30-second sound bites to beat me up with. But the fact is, this is a sound decision. It's going to save taxpayers over $1 million a year. The day that these doors open on this new gel, it's going to save the taxpayers $1 million a year, and that's going to push, raising taxes way out in the future. So, if at all, there's other things that we're working on to with economic development that are going to help the county with taxes.
What other things are you working on? Talk about economic development. What other things are you working on economic development-wise to bring in new life into the county? One of the things you talked about today, which I never heard of, is smart meter.
Yeah, this is something that I mentioned it, I think, on one of the other radio shows. Back in 2012, when I first came into office, I wanted to hit the ground running, and so, and the best way to do that is use your, contacts. Of course, I have a lot of contacts with Allegheny Power, and I knew that prior to coming into office, Allegheny Power was bought by First Energy. Okay, now when one company buys another company, they can do a lot of different things.
Right.
They can, and I knew that it was important to have Allegheny Power's presence in Fayette County. We have a big facility on the west side of Connellsville. We had a little building in Dunbar. We called it Dunbar Center. That was at one time the backup computer system. And I was afraid that First Energy, the new owner, was going to pull some of these out, and it would lose jobs. So first thing I did is I got in contact with one of my friends in Allegheny Power, and I had them set up a meeting with me with the economic development director out of their corporate office in Akron. He actually came out and met me in my office, and so I had to sell him on keeping these assets, these jobs in Fayette County. So what I actually kind of sold him on was not only keeping the general storeroom, for example, but expanding it, because it's not only in the center of the Allegheny Power territory, it's still in the center of the much larger First Energy territory. And they did expand that. I suggested maybe they move some of their shop facilities out to the Dunbar Center that was only being used for record storage. And we talked about that, and they talked about the possibility of starting a smart meter shop. Now, this smart meter facility is I really like it for a couple reasons. One, it creates the good jobs that everybody wants. They're excellent wages. I mean, I worked for Allegheny Power my entire career. I know what they pay, and I know they pay well. They have great health care benefits, and they have a great pension plan. So these are the things that, again, everybody wants. So, and this is going to dump about it's going to dump about $6 to $7 million in Fayette County through payroll revenues.
Okay.
So those people are going to build houses. They're going to. Okay.
We have about 1 minute. I'm sorry.
Okay, and so, these are the type of jobs that we need. Again, and I mentioned even in the legislative luncheon today about the jobs of Boeing Aircraft in Smithfield. They're going to expand to create about 200 more jobs. Again,